Today we're going to go through a obesity slideshow from the CDC. The data in these maps were collected from CDC's Behavioral Risk Factory Surveillance System, the BRFSS. Each year, state health departments use standard procedures to collect data through a series of monthly telephone interviews with U.S. adults. These are the results from those calls that were made from 1985 to 2010. And then there's also a few slides from going up to, I believe, 2014 that we're going to look at as well. So you can see that all of the states that are in white had no data reported. All the states in the light blue were less than 10% that weighed 30 pounds overweight for a person that was 5 foot 4 inches tall. The little bit darker blue is the amount of people that were 30 pounds overweight, which was 10 to 14% of the population in those states. So as we go along, be watching as the states change colors, as they go from one way to the next, be watching as to which states tend to be the first states to jump to the next bracket. So there's 1985. 1986, you can see we have an up charge in the 10 to 14 range. We have more states reporting data, but still most of the country not reporting their data. 1987. Now you can see more states again are reporting, and a huge jump from 86 back to 86, now to 87. You can see that Midwest area kind of starts to turn into that 10 to 14 category. Okay, 1987, about to jump to 1988, and boom, look at that. Now a lot more states reporting. Still some states without data, and still a good chunk of this Midwestern region here that is in that 10 to 14 range. All right, here's our jump to 1989. Look at that. Now again, still maintaining that 10 to 14 range here. It's starting to move over and starting to move more west again, and a lot more states reporting. 1990. Again, we still have about 6 states that are not reported in their data, but again, a few states in that below 10% range, and then a lot of states in that 10 to 14 range. All right, now watch what happens in 1991. We add another category. We add a category of 15% to 19% of the reporting people are over 30 pounds overweight or more. Still a few states that haven't reported yet, but now we're starting to go up to the next bracket. Let's jump to 1992. Now again, we have a lot of those states. Most of our country is at 10 to 14% 30 pounds overweight, with a few of those states continuing to jump into that 15 to 19 category. Here comes 1993, and now look at the jump from, I'm going to go back to 92 and over to 93 again. Watch the jump in the dark blue states, 93. Look at that, a huge increase in 1992 to 1993. Now let's see, 1994. Boom, another big increase. That 15 to 19 category is just huge. We don't have any states in that less than 10% category, and it looks like we have one state right over here that still hasn't reported data for this year. So we're not quite sure where they fall in. Moving on to 1995. Not a big jump, but a huge push that is being made to the west here with that 15 to 19%. We have all states reporting. Our state over here has reported now. the data, and it's 15 to 19 or 10 to 14. So the entire country is saying that they are at least 10% of the population is 30 pounds overweight. And this is back in 1995. 1996, a little bit of a change. Minnesota comes back down. We lost a little bit of weight that year, but now we're starting to move that trend westward. 97, oh darn it. We have a category now that is greater than or equal to 20%. Greater than or equal to 20% of their population is 30 pounds or more overweight. 1998. Again, the trend showing lots of states in that 15 to 19 category. A few states right in this region right here. And one question that I would ask you is, what is happening in this region right here to cause these states to just stay a little bit less than the rest of the country as far as obesity goes? I'm going to let you think on it as we move on to 1999. Look at that jump between 98 and 99 in that tan-colored 20%, greater or equal to 20%. There's 98 again. Here's 99 again. A huge jump from those 2 years. Let's jump to 2000. You can see another jump. We got one state holding on to. I'm not going to be the 10 to 15. I'm going to stay in that 10 to 14 category. I'm not going to follow suit. Let's see what happens in 2001. Now we add another category, greater than or equal to 25%. Let's keep on trucking along here. 2002, another push. We still have that trend here of what's going on in this region of the country that is keeping these countries, or these states, I should say, not countries, a little bit less than the rest of the country as far as obesity trends go. 2003, more adding into that 25 equal or greater. Let's go to 2004. The color switches a little bit, but the number is still the same. Still that 25% equal or greater than 25% in that orange color. 2005, we're still jumping along, and we've added another category, 30% equal to or greater than 30%. And we have a few states here that are in that category, 2005. 2006, a little bit of a change, not much. 2007, another good change here. You can see this whole middle section here is in that 25 to 29% category. We have our one state here that is in that 15 to 19, and we have that same kind of trend in the same region where they're just a little bit behind the rest of the country, and I'm still wondering why that is. 2008, we've added a category. However, it doesn't mark on the map, so we're not quite sure what black is. So we just kind of skip over that. Let's go to 2009. Still a few of those black states that we're not quite sure of, but more of those states adding in that 30% or greater category. And 2010. We finally get our last state to come out of that blue and into that tan of 20 to 24%. We have a good chunk of that country down in the south there that's in that greater than or equal to 30%. Remember, these people are 30 pounds or more overweight. This is the percentage of the population in that state. So let's take a look at some of these maps. You have 1990 in the upper left. You have 1995 in the upper right. You have 2005 in the lower left and 2010 in the lower right. You can see that over that time, how it just quickly escalated. It took 5 years for the whole country to report and get into that 15, or half of the country into that 15 to 19 category, and then another 10 years, and almost everyone was 20 to 29% of the population, with a few states in that 30 or greater population. And then you jump over to the 2010, and every state is 20% overweight 30 pounds or more overweight. So I told you there's a few more. The colors changed a little bit from this, but these are from the CDC's obesity database. Same map, just a little bit different colors, but you can see the colors here on the side. So that orange is 30 to 35. There's nobody in that greater than or equal to 35% yet, and this is for 2011. We jump to 2012. You can see a lot of yellow, which is 25 to 30%. A good amount of orange here in this middle region. Here's that same trend in that green here. We're moving along here. We've added some that are greater than or equal to 35% overweight population, and then into 2014 here, where this is the end of the graphs. So self-reporting obesity among U.S. adults by state and territory. You can see that the prevalence, or kind of the percentage of overweight in each state. If we look at Minnesota here, we were at 27.6% of the population was 30 pounds overweight or more. So the summary here is no state had a prevalence of obesity less than 20%. Every state had at least 20% of their population was 30 pounds overweight or more. 5 states and the District of Columbia had a prevalence of obesity between 20 and 25%. 23 states, Puerto Rico and Guam, had a prevalence of obesity between 25 and 30%. 19 states had a prevalence of obesity between 30 and 35%. And 3 states, Arkansas, Mississippi, and West Virginia, had a prevalence of obesity of 35% or greater. Let's go back to the map here and let's talk about this region here that we've said it was so far behind. One of the reasons why I would think that this region kind of tailed behind the rest of the country is there's a huge mountain range right in here called the Rocky Mountains. A lot of what happens in this range of the country is outdoor activities, skiing, snowmobiling, hunting, mountain climbing, all kinds of things that this country does that's a lot more active, or this part of the country does that's a lot more active than the rest of the country. That is why I think they kind of stayed behind the curve as far as obesity goes.